All right, so the battle between the Kanye stans and Yeat stans has finally finished, because now the second week for Vultures 1 of Kanye's album is over, and so too with Yeat 2093, where the first week sales, not just the projections, the official numbers have finally come in. And unfortunately, Yeat got beat out by the boy Kanye. He hit number 2 on Billboard with 2093, selling 70K units first week. Although something to note, we talked about it a couple days ago, wherein it was still projections, although they were tracking it, and I think they were somewhat official. But the last day or two, Billboard kind of subtracts all like fake streams or just maybe bundles that weren't placed in time or under the same credit cards, because it kind of alleviates all of the fraud that labels do sometimes, where they'll just buy their own albums to pump up the streams. This happened back in like 2020 with, I don't know, just 60K pure album sales. Now some artists can do it, like Travis Scott, because he does have a very commercial audience that will buy a lot of his merch and designs and whatnot, but still 12K pure bundles. That means that what did Yeat sell? The $4.99 that is, for the 4 new tracks on phase 3, and then in addition to the new streamed songs that he dropped the day after or 2 days after that he released the actual album with the Drake feature. By the way, I'm not hearing any sort of noise about that Drake feature, which people should have, considering is Drake, one of the biggest rappers in the world, if not the biggest. So like, why is no one talking about that? Because the song was made. So there's just proof. No one was talking about that. I'm not sitting here trying to hate on Yeat, by the way, either. I just think maybe it was a little overhyped, or people overestimated what he was gonna do. Like a lot of fans were saying he's gonna hit 100K, but he ended up doing 70. But if you subtract the sales of the phase 3 of the 4 songs on his website, that means that he truly, just by streaming numbers, actually sold 58K, which I believe is only like 6K more or something around there than his last project, Afterlife. So that's why I said this last time. His label, I'm not saying him, because his label is ultimately trying to recoup the investment they put into him. They were trying to recoup or they were getting desperate for that #1 album so that they could secure their investment, because 58K, yes, it's not bad whatsoever. I mean, if you're doing 58K, you're killing it. Or 70K is the official number, especially with a newer generation rapper. People aren't streaming nowadays. Like Uzi did 165, I don't know, Gunna did 80 after hitting like, I want to say 200 or one, I don't know what one it was, that album. But still, like, it's just harder to come by streams nowadays, because it's hard to stream 1,500 times for one album to count. Like, I don't think I've ever listened to 115 streams for one specific artist in my entire life. But with that being said, it's a good sales number, but with the expectations, it's not. It's low-key kind of a flop, in the way that people thought this 2093 was going to be the next whole lot of red, so to speak, for Yeat's career, where like it was gonna jump him to mainstream success, or like Love is Rage 2, one of those where the newer generation passes underground and now he's mainstream, and still he got just barely above his last project. So it's more of like a expectations versus reality thing. I mean, I myself even thought he could push 100 if he got the Drake feature, but it wasn't actually on the first album. It was on like additional. I think they popped that out after getting the initial numbers, where they're like, oh shit, we got a low-key, maybe we don't need to do a deluxe, we need to do a phase 1, 2, 3 in the same week so we can count it all within this first week. But Kanye ended up beating him for the #1 spot at like, I think it was 76K first week. I mean, sorry, not first week, second week. But come on, it's Kanye. Like, that is one of the greatest competitions that you can even get into. Like, he's an all-time great, right? That's like going against Drake or like J. Cole. You're just not gonna win. I'm sorry. But it was the second week. So anyway, in addition to that, a lot of people were talking about like streams or whatever. So look at this. Spotify numbers this past week. Yeat actually was number 3. So yes, he might have gotten close to Kanye with the first week sales, only losing, I believe, by like 6,000 copies. However, he, as I said before, because of the pure album sales, actually lost by a whole lot more because he was selling some of the songs, and it was 12,000 people who did that. Now, is that a bad thing necessarily? No, because like, hey, you gotta make money nowadays off of your fans. That's the whole point. And again, it's hard to come by streams, so it's easier to just buy albums or let your fans buy a vinyl. I know I got them on my wall, and then it counts as one album, whereas again, a fan isn't going to stream your album 1,500 times in the first week. But it looks like he lost by a lot more. So his label, in conclusion, was desperate to get that number 1. Understandably, it's a good accolade. It would have been Yeat's first number 1 album in his career. Also, when you go number 1, like, you get all that marketing and press of like, oh shit, Yeat went mainstream, Yeat beat Kanye. And then you get all the residual streams because more people are gonna tap in seeing the number 1 album, trying to figure out what all the fuss is about. But it kind of fell flat. I don't know. I said it before and people were getting mad. People were making memes on Twitter. I said like 2093 was losing a little bit of hype because of all the different projections around the world. And I was like, we're over it. Just drop the fucking album, bro. And then he dropped it. It was something completely different. It didn't have many TikTok songs on there. Actually, none, because I believe Columbia is owned by Universal as well. He switched from Interscope to there. So like, that's what happens when you don't have a TikTok song. I'm not trying to trash him or anything. It's honestly Universal's fault at this point. Like, how do you expect to sell well if you're not letting your artists market their music on the largest app in the world, or largest platform? Like, I understand that they didn't want to lose out on money for giving TikTok all of their catalog for a discounted price or whatever they thought that their music was worth, but it looks like their numbers are suffering as well on the back end in the residuals because you don't get that big marketing push. Because I mean, arguably Yeat would have sold 70 organically, just stream wise, or 80, 90, 100 if TikTok still allowed Universal, or Universal allowed TikTok to use their music on the app. I'm just saying. So Universal's an L. Maybe Yeat would have surpassed expectations of 100K if TikTok was still going. And then the perception behind the album would be that, oh yeah, see, he proved y'all wrong, because a lot of people, there was a polarizing argument about like, it was bad, it was really good. You know, like if it sold 100K, got number 1 album, people would be like, you know what, I'll give it another chance, just like with Whole Lotta Red, because it sold so well. Like, what am I missing here? Like, is my ear, am I just an old head type? But something Universal might want to look at is, if they want their albums to do well, or their music in general, they might want to re-enlist their music on TikTok, because this might happen to the rest of their artists. Like, they might start dropping a bunch of duds because they don't have the biggest platform in the world marketing their music. Just something to think about. I'm just saying.